My name's Eli Delaney, and I have the honor of meeting some pretty cool people. These are the entrepreneurs, the artists, the creatives, the game changers that are making a positive impact in the people that they meet. And I'm a firm believer that the people that you meet can get you anywhere you want to go. And this show is my way of sharing them with you. It's my way of also helping you meet cool people. All right, welcome back, everybody. Eli here, and today on Meet Cool People, so we have a cool gal that she and I got to meet back in December at a Success Champions get together, and we just hit it off like fast friends and just have the coolest time together. And this is Cathy Baillargeon. She is the founder and CEO of Virtual Cathy, a US-based virtual assistance agency working with leaders who are tired of being buried in emails, scheduling, never-ending tasks that are like the quick tasks, all the stuff that eats their day. She's also known for straight talk approach to leadership support and why I'll just do it myself is usually the most expensive decision that most business owners can make. So with that said, Cathy, welcome and thanks for hanging out with me today.
Thank you. You honor me with this opportunity.
So I'm like, you know what, Cathy, I should bring you on the show. And you're like, me? You really want me? And I was like, well, yeah, because you're pretty cool. You know,
Thank you. Go on.
yeah, well, you know I could do that all day long. We met it was the Christmas get together. We were supposed to get together for an actual like SCN family dinner thing, and then
Yep.
the chef had a family emergency happen, so we all just got together. It's like, hey, we already have the day off and planned on doing something, let's get together. And that was when you and I met the first time back in December and just had an amazing conversation. And since then, like, anytime we get a chance to hang out, we just talk and talk and talk. And I think people get tired of hearing us talk together, but we have a good time. Of course, it's been a pleasure to have you come hang out with me.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I absolutely love our conversations. It was like that was kind of my first introduction to SEN events aside from Babs.
Hmm.
And man, I could have just talked to you all night. I appreciated that. Yeah, it was being kind of a newbie in, the group, I was a little nervous and you just absolutely put me at ease. So I appreciated that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And that's, to me, that's an important thing anyway. I think we should all have that. And it was great because you came in at a perfect event. It wasn't like the business mixer. It was a bunch of us just getting together, having drinks and just talking, just spending time together. And so you picked the right one to start with, which was awesome.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and get started here. And I'd like you to share a little bit more about your journey and start with how did you get started with Virtual Cathy? Where did that whole idea come from?
Yeah. Well, I was a business management consultant for a local firm in Washington State and working with all these different businesses from startup to well established businesses. I saw this common theme that regardless of how big or how small the business is, the owner was always completely inundated, always just drowning in admin work. And so I saw it in my own local business community, the need for fractional admin support, not necessarily anything that they needed even part-time support for, but even just a handful of hours a month being able to hand off some of these admin tasks would be incredibly beneficial so they can focus on revenue generating work. And I'll be honest, I never considered myself as a business owner. Like I didn't think that I was going to ever have my own business, but I wanted to be a solution for my own local business community. So that's how Virtual Cathy was born from, I guess, a need.
Nice. I love it. And you do something very different than like a lot of because virtual assistants are very common these days for especially for those of us in small business world that we're not ready to bring on real employees or we don't have an office. So my office is a spare bedroom. That's what you see. It just looks
Yep.
fancy with the purple behind me, but that's all it is. You really don't want to see the mess that's around here, by the way. But we do this we know about that, but the thing that makes you different is that you are working with US based assistants as opposed to outsourcing to other countries. And I think that's one of the things that there's definitely a place for those, but there's definitely a place for what you do too. And there's a lot of people that really thrive for that. They want somebody who is much more into the culture. Obviously, there's no language barrier, all the different things that come into it. What was it that like made you think, okay, this is where I'm going to grow this with?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it.
I
I
try to
wanted
make good questions, you know.
I wanted employees, and,
Mhm.
I'll be having employees US based, having employees across the country, that's not that difficult. Having employees in different countries altogether, that sounded difficult. And so I didn't necessarily wanted to handle a language barrier or time zone differences or whatever. So it's like, all right, I'm going to just hire people US based. There was a need for it, absolutely a need for it. And so yeah, it was a pretty easy
Okay.
decision.
Nice.
And we had started the I started day one as an agency.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Nice. Now that's cool too, because I know a lot of people when they get into the agency side, they start as the solo virtual assistant, and then
yeah.
as they get too swamped, they're like, okay, I got to bring somebody in to help, and then that's kind of how
Right.
they next blossom into that next level. You just was like, nope, this is the way we're going to start it, which I think is great.
Well, it's funny because, like, yeah, I'm good at admin. That's not necessarily my strong suit. My skill set laid, whatever it
Mhm.
is. I was really good at managing people, and
Okay.
that's what I wanted to do. And so I wanted to manage a team of US based people, and I believe is one of the core reasons why we were so successful, even prior to it getting even more mainstream after COVID, since
Mhm.
we've been in business prior to that. So
Right.
yeah,
Which is awesome. Congratulations, by the way, because that's, when businesses last that long, that's always a good thing to see, and it's really nice.
yeah,
Um, I think it's so funny. You're like, and you're really good at, managing people, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't have employees because I know how
that's
to do that.
exactly right.
Well, and that's where, and to be perfectly honest, that's where a lot of people like me need people like you to be able to grow the way we want to, because I'm a horrible manager. I know it. I had my first company was web and graphic design agency. I had 5 employees. We're closing 3 to 5 contracts a week. I didn't want to go to an office and I didn't like my employees, so I burnt the whole thing down and started over. It's like, nope,
Right.
not for me. So that's, there's a lot of people out there that need that. They need what I like to say is that right hand person that they can
Yep.
really trust to come in and take care of things. And I think you fill an awesome gap with that
Mhm.
area. So kudos to you for that. And you mentioned that you started the business. You were up in Washington, which you and I've talked about this. It was so funny because you were in Vancouver, and I was
Mhm.
literally right across the river from you in Portland. And we had never met until we come cleared the hell across the country, which I think is hilarious.
So true.
Yeah, but how do you find, like, in today's world, especially post COVID, how do you find the type of clients that work best with you, and what are they really looking for?
Oh, great question. I'd say the majority of the clients that we take on are usually from referral sources. So, like, our clients are referring us to new clients, which is great. And usually the referral sources that are successful for us are, like business coaches working with solo entrepreneurs or other business owners already seeing the overwhelm already existing in those organizations. And they're already telling them, like, you really shouldn't be doing everything. You shouldn't be wearing the 47 hats in the business. So, what really makes a good client, or I guess a great client from a good client for us, are the individuals who have a semblance, some kind of idea of what they want to prioritize first, right? They know what's really keeping them back from revenue generating work and wanting to, like, just do something about it, right? And we don't really get a lot of tire kickers. We're really not, when it comes to having to compare our pricing to like overseas virtual assisting agencies. There is no comparison, let's be honest. And so people are coming to us because they're needing something. They want to, it's not just a task robot where they just want to hand over the tasks, the person does the task, and then we hand it back to them. They're really looking to make the most of the soft skills that we bring to our clients, like the accountability partner, right? The sounding board, the brainstorming partner, the person that organizes all of their thoughts. That's really the value that they get out of it. Of course, we're doing work and of course we're completing tasks. And sometimes that's the baseline. That's what's going to get them through the door. Like, I have so many things I need to get done. And I don't have the time to do it. Great, hand it over. But it's really that working relationship that uh, evolves into, okay, this person, like I can really lean on this person to make my goals for this organization really come to fruition.
Right. Okay. So I see that as more almost like a personal assistant. Like you could do quote unquote VA tasks at the end of the day. But for me,
Yep.
I always look at that as like if I go to hire somebody, that's what I'm going to be looking for is a personal assistant, somebody who literally is like right there. And not only are they going to just do the task, because like I have a team that's outsourced and they're
Mhm.
wonderful. I love them to death, but they do exactly what I say, exactly the way I say it. And if I screw it up, they're going to screw it up. Like if I don't
Yep.
tell them, if I miss one thing, it will mess the thing up because
Yep.
they do exactly what they're told. They're not paid to think. Like they're
Right.
paid to do.
Do. Yep.
And I always tell people is like I don't mean this as an insult to them, but they are button pushers. That's
Yep.
exactly what they do.
Yep.
And there's a place where we as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, whatever level you want to be call yourself at, we
Mhm.
need somebody who isn't just there to push a button, but to actually go, hey, wait a minute, did you mean this or did you mean that? Or possibly more importantly, hey, you know what? Here's an idea. This might be a better way to do this and just run those
Mhm.
ideas. So be that sounding board that you mentioned. And I think that
Yeah.
that's a critical piece that is missing in a lot of people's lives. And I think for most people, quite honestly, that is a better choice because
Yes.
I know so many people who hire a virtual assistant and they hire somebody from the Philippines or whatever, and they're amazing people. They're very skilled at what they do, but then the person hiring them gets upset because they don't do things the right way when it's really their fault for not telling them the right way. And
Mm. Mhm.
they don't like they're doing exactly what they're told. And so it's a different personality. Like you need a personal assistant, probably a US based person that can basically be there to talk to you about it and then implement it, not just do what you say.
It really does. It is kind of like that mix, right? Virtual assisting has become such a broad term, like this
Right.
umbrella term.
Mhm.
And it's really kind of a mixture of personal assisting, virtual assisting, executive assisting
Right.
that we offer people because they do need more than just a button pusher.
Mhm.
They do
Yeah.
need somebody who can be proactive and guard their client's time and energy. And if they're
That's what
just
I need right
adhering
there.
to kind of a yeah, if they're just adhering to this, like, I don't know, this very two-dimensional SOP that
Mhm.
might not necessarily be what they were expecting or really truly needing down the line for long-term strategy for the
Right.
organization.
I love it.
Yeah.
So leads me to some thought process here. If somebody's at that point that like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I need some help.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that they need to be thinking about as to should they hire somebody like you versus a virtual assistant versus like maybe like what I use is a virtual assistant agency, but again,
Mhm.
they're all just button pushers. It's like, I need you to build out this automation in my high level. Cool. That's what they do.
Yep.
they're not copywriters, they're not strategists in any way, shape, or form. They're just going to do exactly what I want. Um, like where should what questions should somebody be asking themselves to decide which is the right direction for them?
Mm, that's also a great question. I
Try
think
to ask good questions. I mean, it's kind of a sucky show if I don't ask good questions.
you're absolutely right. You're just making me think, Eli. My goodness.
Oh.
I think what they really need to just start off with is take 3 to 5 things that they want to, at some point, get
Mhm.
off their plate. That's a
Okay.
really great starting point for anybody, because if it is just pushing buttons and they just need somebody to push the button, then they know that they can go, they have a lot more options available, right? They're not necessarily needing like a sounding board or a gatekeeper, and they're just going to be responsible for these tasks and they're going to be done this way.
Mhm.
And maybe they already even have SOPs created, which isn't usually the case. But a lot of
Right.
times, people just have their ish together and they're like, this is what I need and that's all I need.
Mhm.
For
Yeah.
the people who are, they're just like, I know that I'm overwhelmed. I just need to talk through what I really could get off my plate immediately versus, I don't know, some kind of grand, I'm going to change everything and completely streamline everything immediately in my business, right? Um, they're probably going to need more than just a button pusher.
Mhm.
Uh, and then for the people who are just like, I can't even name three things. I just know that I'm so overwhelmed that I know that I need help. I don't even know
Right.
what I need help with. Get on a call. Like, those are the people that I wanna talk to, because
Okay.
we really need to start untangling some of these threads to kinda give them, like, a direction.
Mhm.
Chip away at it. Like, is it gonna change overnight? Absolutely not, but you gotta start somewhere, and putting it off is the worst thing that you could do, because it's just going to compound the issue further, right? And
Right.
the last thing you wanna do is hire somebody that you have these potentially unrealistic expectations on, to lose money, lose time and energy just to be like, well, that didn't work. This just isn't
Right.
going to work for me. No, no, it is a learning. The one thing that I always say is, like, delegation is a skill set, and it
Right.
requires you to delegate and to practice that in order to get better. You got to
Right.
start somewhere.
I love it. No, that's cool. And I like that fact, get on a call. I mean, is this, by the way, just because you and I haven't talked about this specifically, if
Sure.
somebody wants to get on a call with you and say, okay, I am completely overwhelmed and I'm not sure how exactly you can help me. Can you help me strategize of what that would look like? Is that a paid thing or is that a free thing? Because I would
No,
like to
that is a
know.
free thing. I
Okay.
just love talking business. I wanna support them,
Okay.
and there might even be, somebody is looking for something that's not even a virtual assistant.
Right.
Happy to untangle that too. Like,
Okay.
okay, what do you really need? Is it a
Okay.
content creator? Is it a social media strategist? Which is That's, like, not something we do. Is it like, what is really
Right.
holding you back that's going to make the biggest impact
Okay,
for
nice.
you?
So
Yeah.
that's good. I mean, just shout out for everybody out there. If you're thinking about bringing somebody on board, you might just
Mhm.
want to get on Kathy's calendar and see if she can help you out because I
Happy to chat
she
about that. Yeah.
probably can. And you brought up one thing that I think is really important for us to talk about because no matter how many times I've heard this whole conversation, it still needs to be said more and more times, which is you're never going to find that VA that can do everything. The
Mhm.
super VA doesn't exist.
That's right.
Let's talk about that for a second because that's what too many people jump in. I know I've heard it for over a decade now, but so many people still come in and they think that they're going to find that. So let's talk about that for a sec.
Unicorns are exactly that. They either don't exist or they're so rare that lightning doesn't hit twice in the same place or whatever. Uh, and that's one of kind of the benefits of working with an agency, whether that is,
Right.
US based or outsourced, is that, like, hopefully the agency is built where if you have a lot of different asks and needs, that you have a whole team behind you
Mhm.
to, like, the power of the team and the collective knowledge and experience of a team, which is exactly how we operate, because Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with having your virtual assistant who is really good at this one thing that you need. But if there's something else that you need that's out of their wheelhouse, either you need to ensure that you give them plenty of time to learn, and
Mhm.
there's that learning curve and make mistakes, or hire another individual that is
Right.
experienced in that area. I think that's there's those two there's, 2 options there,
Mhm.
and none of them neither are incorrect. It just depends, like, do you want the time or do you want the money, right? Those are
Right.
usually the 2 different.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, okay, very cool. And that's, and I like that you said so you guys run as you have like, okay, this person is more skilled over here, so they can help with this piece, and that person is more
Yes.
skilled over here, which is good because that
Mhm.
is one of the things I know a lot of people have struggled with. And even when I first started, when I was hiring people, it's like, okay, what can I give this person? Well, they know X, Y, and Z, but they don't know these other five things that I also need. Now I got to hire a second person. It was just a whole headache. And these are the type of things that we as entrepreneurs need to think about when we're getting ready to hire people. And I always tell people it's like you got two choices. You can hire an agency, which will take care of a whole slew of things, or you just need to go through and pick three tasks that are all semi-related because you don't want to have video editing and cold calling and try to expect the same person to do that. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to have something that's at least in their wheelhouse and figure out those two, three, maybe four things that are all in the same wheelhouse and then hire for that one role and expect to get that up to speed before you talk to somebody else.
Right.
And don't expect that person to now, oh, you're going to manage my calendar and you're going to do my cold calls for me and you're going to do this, you're going to do that. It's like, no, 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 no. You do that, you're setting yourself up for a headache.
Right, I mean, it's kinda like the whole balancing act, right? They're gonna be really good at a couple things, and they're
Right.
not gonna be so good at another couple things, so, like,
Mhm.
choose your good, right?
Right.
Choose the one thing that you really want them to hone in and be a master at, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. So what are some of the specialties that you and your team really thrive at?
Mm. The most common tasks that are requested: email management, calendar management, online research, that's a big one, database or CRM updates, and we also do a lot of build outs as well. So if somebody's in a position where they want to move from one, program to another, we absolutely do that as well. So those are kind of like the most common things. But again, really leaning on those soft skills too. We do a lot of client facing work for our clients. So rather than our solo entrepreneurs responding to every single email, answering frequently asked questions that could have easily been answered, going to a website, we're taking those on and being kind of that point of contact for their clients. So then we're guarding our clients' energy and time.
Perfect. I love that. And it is, again, it goes back to what I was thinking, like personal assistant or executive assistant mindset,
Yes.
which I think is so good because in the general world, VAs are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. But that executive assistant or the personal assistant, that's a special person. And with you guys being able to run into that world and take care of those kind of things, it's like if I had somebody who could actually just, follow up with a few people for me, just a quick phone call or, hey, on behalf of Eli, could you take care of this for us? Something like that. That would
Yeah.
be really cool because those are the kind of things that I'm running a million different directions all at once, and I forget stuff. And it's like 5 days later, oh yeah, I was supposed to email that person. Damn it,
Yeah.
you know. And so those are the kind of things that I think that when somebody's in the right position, they're really at that point of they are overwhelmed, and it's not just because they're doing a bunch of button pushing stuff, but they just have
Mhm.
so many moving parts in their world.
Yes.
A personal assistant type, executive assistant. That's like I'm kind of putting you on a different pedestal than a VA, right?
Mhm.
It's just the way you're doing it is a much more specialized, much more hands-on approach,
Mhm.
and I love that's available, because a lot of people just don't even think about it. They don't think about that. They think about, oh, I need to hire somebody from the Philippines. They do this, they do this, they do this. Next thing you know, they're like, they're managing people. They're
Yes.
babysitting, which is a whole other
Yep.
job.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. They have 3, 4 people doing a completely different things, and all of a sudden now they're project
Mhm.
managing,
Exactly.
they're having to have hard conversations if quality is going down or yeah,
Right.
it's yeah, you're managing the monkeys, right?
Yeah. I was trying to not say it monkeys, but it's
Oh,
kind of how I think of it. It's all
sorry.
good. But it
It is
is.
your
I mean, it's
circus.
your yeah, it is your circus. Yeah, exactly. Um, so as we're starting to get towards the end here, what is there anything that, like, any other last nuggets of wisdom you'd like to share before we actually wrap things up?
Mm. I always want to like, gosh, I have so many, Eli. Oh my gosh. First off, if anybody's ever like interested in hiring somebody, whether that's a virtual assistant or whatever the case may be, I always recommend talk to multiple people. I know that, especially when we get overwhelmed, it's so easy to have an initial conversation. Maybe the conversation goes well, and you're just like, oh my gosh, all right, I'm just gonna go. Like, just start services when before you really get an idea of what is out there. And so I always tell people, even when they're on a call with me asking about services, talk to other people and just make sure that this is a good fit, because this is your business. And that's another thing where so many business owners go into a working relationship like this, where they are just ready and willing to work however their virtual assistant works. This is your business, and we need to like be what's the word, but we need to work the way that you work. How do you communicate? How is email or messaging? Like, we need to make sure that people are adhering to how you work best, because this is your company. You shouldn't be asking the other way around. I see it time and time again. It's like, oh well, you're the expert, tell me how I should be managing my email. No, this is your email and inbox, and it needs to be how you work best. So that's a second thing that I always want to mention. And then third is give yourself some grace, especially if you've never managed people before. Again, delegation is a skill set. It requires patience and practice. And so if for whatever reason it's not working out, have conversations, figure it out. Like, if it's maybe a communication issue, maybe if it's I don't know, misunderstandings, is it a language barrier, whatever the case may be, or maybe if it's just really not a good fit, you should know within a couple weeks whether it's a good fit, whether that's a personality match or skills match. If you are for the first couple weeks thinking like, I don't think this is going to work, don't necessarily try and push it to make it work, because 6 months down the road you might be finally making that decision to find something else that works. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, I spent all this time and it just never really worked. So trust your gut on that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. And that is, and all of those things you said are really good. The most important thing is communication is a key.
Yes.
You've got to have the good communication first and foremost, because you won't know what the real solution is, or even what the real problem is, without that.
Right.
So I think that's great that you brought that up. Thank you so much. Okay. So we're getting close to time here. And as we go through, as we start to land the plane here, I always ask people two questions. Last question is always the easy one. How do people get a hold of you? But before that, I always like to ask every one of my guests, this is the Meet Cool People show. So what are the words meet cool people mean to you?
Cool people are the ones that you are saddened when the conversation ends, and you're already thinking, all right, how can I have another conversation with this person? How can I get on their schedule? How can we continue staying in touch? and what can we learn from each other. I love meeting cool people. Eli, you are one of the coolest. I appreciate you so much. And it's this the ability to have this conversation where both people are interacting and engaged, and both people feel listened to and heard. So yeah, that's me. And nerds. I love nerds too. Nerdy things. Let's talk about Lord of the Rings.
All right.
And
Well, we were talking about Renaissance fairs before this, which,
yes.
yes. And my listeners know that I'm a Ren Fair nerd, so they've heard me to have this conversation with multiple people. It's like, oh yeah, we start talking about Ren Fair stuff, and we're like planning on when we're going to go to Ren Fair in the middle of the interview, which is great. All right. And the last question, if people want to follow you, connect with you, what is the best way that they can get a hold of you?
If you want to have a conversation with me, feel free to find me on LinkedIn. I know my last name is a bit of a doozy, but it's Cathy Baillargeon. Find me on LinkedIn, send me a message, connect with me there. And then, of course, if you want to learn more or actually have like a real formal conversation, virtualcathy.com. That's CATHY. You can find all the information and book a consult with me there. There we go.
Awesome. And I will make sure to put that in the show notes so everybody has links to that stuff as well. So thank you so much, Cathy. This has been a pleasure as always. I appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right. And everybody else, get out there. Have an amazing week as always. If there's anything I can do to help you out, reach out. Let me know. Take care.
Bye.
And that wraps up another Meet Cool People show. Now, if you like what you heard, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, or review so I can help introduce these amazing cool people to even more amazing cool people. And just remember, meeting cool people is just the beginning. You need to have a system in place to follow up with the amazing people that you meet. This is exactly what we do for our clients. Now, if you'd like to see if my team and I can help you, go to convertmoreclientsnow.com and check out the case study video to see exactly how we're helping our clients turn casual connections into cash clients for life. Again, go to convertmoreclientsnow.com and see how we can work together to turn you into a follow-up rock star.